There's no more room left in hell. The dead will walk the earth. What is up, everybody? Station, happy Halloween. We are now almost a week away from Halloween. We can say that officially now. Happy Halloween, as well as happy Horrorfest. Station, pop, pop, boo. Ooh, and all that stuff. Dude, tonight we're talking about Dawn of the Dead, the Argento Cut. This is the culmination of a bit that started like 3 or 4 years ago. We covered all of the George A. Romero Dead films here for Horrorfest on Pop Culture Philosophers. Check out that show if you haven't already after this show ends. But tonight, we're taking a deep dive into one of those movies in particular, one specific cut of those movies in particular, Dawn of the Dead, the Argento Cut, also known as Zombie. The reason why Zombie by Lucio Fulci is known also as Zombie 2 is because it's a ripoff sequel of this movie. Y'all, we're going to get into it. But when we did that Dead franchise review, I said I prefer the Argento Cut of Dawn of the Dead. And it started this whole like bit where we got to see the Argento Cut of everything. Hell, Small Soldiers, the Argento Cut. Could you imagine what that would be like? That would be so twisted, so messed up. Speaking of twisted and messed up, we got a great panel of conundrums, misfits, and just fucking puzzles here tonight. We got Jelani in the house. What is up, my man?
Station. You know, protect your neck and all that stuff. Man, I love this movie, and I know we're going to talk about it, but it's so... this is your cut, too, because, man, you've been talking about the Argento Cut of all of it since the beginning. And I've got your
back in the day, bro. Like, when you first met me, I was like, what's up, Jelani? My name's Robbie. Have you ever seen the Argento Cut of Dawn of the Dead?
I've not. I've seen it on your DVD, so I'll show it to you. And it also has this lovely, lovely note that says, be sure to watch the European version, because there are like 19 versions in this box set. It's DVD with the slip. I'll show his fun stuff off.
Yeah, that's my really DVD
nice.
copy.
It's really, really nice. And I'm trying to take good care of it, man.
It's gorgeous, isn't it? It's a gorgeous set. I got the new Blu-ray set, and I don't have it here with me because I'm stupid and I don't remember to do these things. Maybe when I go grab another beer, I have to take a piss, I'll bring it up and show it. But yeah, it's got like the international cut, the original theatrical cut, and the Argento cut. Yeah. Which, you know, never overestimate the intelligence of your friends. So make sure they watch the right one, right? Speaking of watching the right one, it's Brooks. What's up, my man?
What's up?
You excited to be here at all?
I am.
Okay.
As always. Quite excited. Can't you tell?
I can tell. And I can also tell that this man's excited to be here. It's Fable. He didn't even remember he was on the show until this afternoon.
We have come full circle, my friend. The bit has fulfilled itself.
Yes, it has. All right, speaking of fulfilling itself, Link is on the road to fulfilling himself 100%. I don't know how or why, but bruh, good luck with that. How you doing, Link?
Well, happy to be here.
Hell yeah.
Right.
Unintelligible, just slightly. But speaking of slightly unintelligible, it's Joe Corallo. How are you doing, my man?
Good.
Always happy to have you here, Joe.
Thank you. I'm happy to be.
All right, y'all. Dawn of the Dead, the Argento Cut. Dawn of the Dead, George A. Romero, 1978. This is how this movie came to fruition. After Night of the Living Dead, which created a whole new movie monster, the zombie, the non-voodoo zombie, the recently dead, resurrected, eating human flesh, shoot him in the head zombie, was created pretty much by George A. Romero in that film. Everybody said, we'll give you more money to make another one of those ones. George didn't want to do that. I don't want to be typecast. I don't want to just be a horror director. I want to do other things. He scraped money together. He did other things. There's Always Vanilla, Season of the Witch. Those movies are not good. The Crazies. I love Romero, y'all. That movie's not good. I don't think he made another good film after Night of the Living Dead until Dawn of the Dead. The way it happened was this. After everybody hounding him to do this, Dario Argento calls up George Romero. Hey, man. Or more like, hey, mano, you need to do one of these dead movies. You need to do another one of these zombie flicks, another one of these Night of the Living Dead type movies. Romero's like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I could. And he had already kind of gotten an idea for it, right? Because he had some friends who had just opened up a mall in Monroeville, right? Pennsylvania. And he goes and checks out this mall, and they're like, yo, you could survive like a nuclear holocaust here or something. And he's like, what about a zombie apocalypse? Holy crap. He starts thinking about what it would be like to be holed up in a mall during this kind of an event. Argento calls him. He has this idea. And he goes, actually, I do have an idea. Argento flies him and his fiance, Chris, who was at Scarefest this week. I saw her. I didn't meet her, but I saw her. They go to Rome, where Argento just puts him up in this nice place so he can write the script. He writes the script in 3.5 weeks. Argento helps helps get the money together with the condition that he gets to do the European cut of the film, right? And Romero gets to do the American cut, and he gets to do the European version. That was the deal that was struck. The same movie through two different masters of horror's vision, right? George A. Romero, Argento. It is the same movie through and through. It's got the same themes. It's got the same story. It's got the same characterizations, though certain things are lost in maybe the Argento cut that are more elaborated on in the Romero cut. Mostly in the Argento cut, you have pretty much almost all of the comedy stripped out, right? You have a tighter film, but a film that does also have some pacing issues, I think. However, the Goblin score, the entire score is the Goblin score. Because what Romero did was he used some of the Goblin score, but he used a lot of like just royalty-free music is what we would call it today. But he used like, house music, basically. Like things you could just pick up and use here and there, right? And it makes the movie feel kind of, I don't know. Y'all know me. I love Argento. I love his aesthetic, his approach. I love Goblin. The music is what sets this part, like what sets this cut of the film apart from the rest for me. I love the utilization of the music. I always loved Dawn of the Dead from the first moment I watched it. But the first time I watched this cut of the film, I was enamored. And of course, in Italy, it was called Zombie. That's why Lucio Fulci did Zombie 2, which we know here in the States is Zombie. In the UK, they call it Zombie Flesh Eaters, something like that. We've talked about that here on the channel for a Horrorfest as well. Great film. The Argento Cut. Here we are to talk about it. Jelani, what do you think of Dawn of the Dead, the Argento Cut? And thank you, everybody out there in the chat. We want to know what you think as well. I'll be highlighting your comments as we discuss this amazing version of an amazing film already. Jelani, what do you think of the Argento Cut, and do you notice the difference?
Yeah, I will say I did notice a lot of changes. You're right about the comedy. I am I'm a fan of this film, though. I love the U.S. cut. I've watched the U.S. cut multiple times. It's probably my favorite zombie movie. Dead is a close second because it has the most awesomest kill. But this movie has me because it's consumerism at its best. It's like what if you were a zombie apocalypse? You're trapped in a mall. What would you do? What would you? Man, I'd do more than what they were doing. Way more. Other than flying the helicopter, I would not be flying the helicopter unless you absolutely have to. I mean, I'd learn it, but like that draws too much attention, as it did in this film. But the Argento cut of this, like I said, it's not funny. It's straight to the point. It's very succinct. It's the same movie. I was expecting like big changes. I thought like Ken Foree was gonna die. I thought he was gonna kill himself, and she was just gonna fly away alone. And
well,
that was
the original ending of the film is Ken Foree does kill himself, and she kills herself by putting her head into the helicopter blades, right?
Yeah.
Which the scene in the Romero cut of that zombie getting his head cut off in the helicopter blades was a foreshadowing of, which is missing in the Argento cut. Did you notice that?
Yeah. That's sad though. It's a lot of big things that I've missed in this movie, especially the ending, because the ending is like they play that music and it's just that basic mall music, and these zombies are walking in the mall.
Shalani, hold on just a second. I'm sorry. Steph, please say hi to Brittany.
Oh.
Hi, Brittany.
You just made her day, bro. You have no idea. Trust me.
She's in love with you. Good job.
Continue on, Jelani. I'm sorry.
No, but this film is spectacular anyway. Like I said, Romero is a genius, but Argento's cut of what his vision was for this is amazing. The music is great. We're getting into that, but there's a particular scene I really like with the way the music goes, because I'm like, it wasn't like that in the original movie, or if it was, I missed it. But it sounds fantastic in this film, and Goblin Goblin gonna kill it no matter what you do. Oh, sorry, that music is fire. That music just hot fire, and I've heard it in the original cut, but in this one it's like amplified. So I'm really, really glad I got to see this one.
Was this your first time watching it?
This is the first time I've ever seen the Argento cut.
Really?
I've watched this version like 5 times, dude.
Dude, I'm a worse friend than I realized.
Yeah,
like, I already thought I was a piece of shit friend, but like I'm actually a worse friend than I realized, man. To be honest.
Well, I mean, I'm glad. Thank you for letting me borrow your copy. I'll watch it again.
All right, Brooks, we've known each other also for over 20 years. I bet this was your first time watching the Argento cut, right?
It was.
Yeah, because I'm a piece of shit. All right, so anyway, Brooks, what did you think about the Argento cut? And did you notice the difference?
A little bit, yeah. Like it's been a while since I've watched the original Dawn of the Dead. Well, I mean, like it wasn't too long ago, but like I haven't watched it recently. But I did notice there were like some marked differences, and the soundtrack is definitely certainly different as well. But yeah, like I mean, it's Dawn of the Dead. I mean, it's one of my. It's definitely my favorite out of the Romero saga. So I was glad to finally watch this this famed Argento cut that you were going on about for all this time. Long last.
I feel like all of our friendships, Jelani and Brooks, we've known each other so long. Like they're the oldest friends I have that I see on the regular, right? And it's all culminated now. It's all over now. We're never gonna hang out again. We're never gonna. It's gonna be over now at this point. Fable.
Burn the spurn.
Fable, you have heard of this alleged Argento cut. You watched it for the first time today. What did you think? Because I know you're a hardcore fan of this film, right?
I love Dawn of the Dead.
All right, so you had to have noticed some of the differences, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like like you guys know, or maybe you don't know, I'm still not sold on Italian horror completely. So, you know, Dario Argento Cut.
That's Dylan's fault, not mine. Okay.
I'm like, I'm a little trepidatious. You know, needless to say, but apparently not even Dario Argento could fuck up Dawn of the Dead, man. This was freaking great, man. I loved it. This cut was quick, to the point, cut a lot of the, I think maybe now unnecessary stuff out, got all the messages in, and kind of turned this from a horror movie with that Goblin soundtrack into sort of an action movie a little bit. I was like, this is an adventure. You know, I know there's zombies, but this is like a little adventure. I don't know. It was really good. I enjoyed it.
Hell yeah. The name changes, to answer your question. It's actually shorter. It's like almost right at 2 hours, where the Romero cut is longer. And you can tell this one's a little bit quicker to the punch. Speaking of quick to the punch, my man Steph, what did you think about this film? And did you notice a difference?
I'll be honest. I've seen the first Dawn of the Dead probably a handful of times, but it's been a minute, quite a minute. To the point where I think like the only scene I could remember was the black dude at the end, where he's like, you know, he's contemplating deleting himself, and then he like makes that final stand and rushes to the ladder. Like that always stood out in my head. Like that was super epic. But this was my first time seeing the Argento cut, and it was badass. And the music was so great. It was like 20 minutes in, and I was like, if the music keeps up the entire time, no matter what happens in this film, I'm gonna love it. That's how great it was. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Hell yeah. I'm so excited to hear this so far. All right, here to play the role of Brooks and ruin it all is Mr. Joe Corallo, who's going to be like, it's okay.
Yeah. No, what I find so interesting about this cut is if you were to watch Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead, the only 3 Dead movies that really were ever made. It's a shame. I feel like there was so much potential. They could have done so much more after Day of the Dead, but they stopped there. I wish they made more.
It's like if they would have made a Blade 3, right? What a perfect world, right?
Yeah, it would. Blade 2 was incredible.
It's the one with Triple H and the dog with the open mouth. And
yeah, and let's not talk about the Dead movie with John Leguizamo then, right? Joe will go into a fit.
God,
no. That's all.
But the weirdest thing I think about this cut is tonally, this fits way better than the Romero cut. Like if you watch those 3 movies together, and it's the Argento cut in between the other 2, tonally it fits like perfectly. The Romero one, it's like a weird sort of, like he's doing something different, and then he kind of goes back to form again. And that's not saying that I would never say that Dawn of the Dead is not an amazing movie, regardless of the cut. I'm just saying, like, tonally, if you watch those 3 in a row and it's the Argento cut, it feels more natural. It feels like you're watching the same vision, despite the fact that it's Argento chiming in the second one. But
because it's very cartoonish, the Romero cut. It sticks out amongst those 3 tonally, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's enough for me.
All right, that's enough for you. All right. Well, the performances is one thing that's not really affected, whether it's the Argento or the Romero cut. There's a little bit more like extended sequences about some of the people in the Romero cut, some of the interactions, but the characters remain the same. This is a very solid main cast, a so-so other cast. So I want to know right now, what's your favorite performance in the film, Jelani?
I'm taking Kid Foray. I keep forgetting his name in this movie.
Peter.
That's right.
They do all have the
Peter.
most generic fucking
They are
names.
very
Peter,
generic.
Steve, Roger, Fran.
Roger.
I'm like, it's wow. He's the epitome of the dude I would love to be, except he's a cop Fuck the police. Fuck.
But he's a
Fuck the
police officer who also says "fuck the
Right.
police," bruh. He kills that
Exactly.
dude, man.
I understand. He does. I get it, but he's still a cop.
You're one of
But
what's his
he's
name's
still
men,
a
huh? Ching.
Yeah.
Roger's like, I didn't see nothing.
I don't know what happened, but he measures and he thinks and he times. He's very calculating. Like he's the reason they took that mall. If they had just been quiet and let the bikers, like Flyboy always fucking up, but when the shit hits the fan and he realizes like it's a war now, it's a war. I mean, he gets involved and like he knows he has to defend, what is his, but he didn't have to. This let the bikers go. Let the bikers tear the place up. They can fix it again. They're going to be gone soon. It's over. But it's he's so calm and calculated. And even when he's contemplating suicide, he doesn't, he doesn't go through with it because he's an American hero, but he's still a cop. So I choose him.
I didn't have too much of an interaction with Ken Foree this weekend, but I did see him and I did walk by him at one point and I went, Ken, and he goes, hey man. And he just walked on by me. He's super tall, big dude. It wasn't in the budget, unfortunately, but I should have met him. You should have met him. I should have went and
but you got some good pictures, man.
Yeah, whatever. I should have met Ken. I should have met Kenny. Anyway, Brooks, what's a performance you want to highlight?
I like Tom Savini's character of the gang leader.
Blades.
Yeah, he reminds me of like a villain from Fist of the North Star or Mad Max or something. I love how he's like, can I do some karate moves on these zombies? I want to show off my high kick skills.
Machete.
Tom Savini's great. I love when he pulls out
precursor.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Seth.
He's such a dick too.
Oh no, I was just
like
the
a great
precursor
villain.
to Sex
I wish he got more screen time.
Yeah, the precursor to Sex Machine. Hell yeah, dude. 100%.
Yeah.
I met Tom Savini for the second time this week.
Pull the gun out of his cock.
Yeah. I met him with you the first time.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
you did. I met him again this year.
Guy.
He seemed very spaced out, brother. I'm just going to tell you that. Like, I wasn't the only person being like, is Tom Savini, like, what's he smoking? Like, where did what Lexington weed is he fucking smoking, bro? Because I want some of that shit, man. Anyway, Tom Savini's character, he did most of the stunts in the film too. Whenever you see somebody getting hit by a car or falling off of the top floor of the mall or some shit like that, it's usually Tom Savini. And he's the one with the shotgun that just blows that fucking head off that dummy. Great fucking scene right there, right? Right, Fable, what's a performance you want to highlight?
I want to go with what's his name? The guy, the husband or the boyfriend?
Steve,
the
Flyboy.
Flyboy. Yeah. I want to highlight Flyboy because Flyboy kind of like gave me a schmarmy like feeling to him in the beginning of the movie. Like I was like, I don't know if I like this guy. And plus, he was kind of mad at his wife and stuff for wanting to be down with everybody. But towards the end, he kind of became a hero, and
opened the door and
he became a hero and even when he became zombified, like I know he was just trying to get to his wife. He might have wanted to eat her, but like they say that the zombies do what they, used to do or whatever. So I know he went up there for her.
Bro, that's right, dude. The last resonating thought in his life is to check on Fran. Oh my goodness, man.
It is. That's why they got up there. That's why they knew where it was. Yeah. He leads them right to it. It's wild.
Here's the thing too, and I was watching some stuff on YouTube today while I was doing FOC work and stuff, and most people say the same thing. This is the best zombie on film ever. Is that dude? Like, when he becomes a zombie, the way he's like his leg, his like ankle, like I feel like he broke his ankle for real. Like to do, he's so method or something. He's got that gun dangling on his finger. He is an amazing performance as a zombie as well, and one of the best, bruh. And it's hard to choose between him and Bub because in Day of the Dead you feel so much for Bub, but like, dude, if I saw Flyboy as a zombie, I would shit myself, man. I'm not even kidding. Like there is like that's
good
like
makeup.
yeah, that's
Him
really
and Roger. Him and
and
Roger
Roger were
had
the best
yeah,
makeup in the
the
movie,
best
man.
makeup.
We'll talk about that because yeah, Savini's great, but sometimes you have to fall and crawl before you walk, right? And this was the movie where Tom Savini was like, "Oh, it does matter what shade of paint I put on somebody's face and what lighting we're using." Anyway, Steph, what's a performance you want to highlight, my man?
I'll go with Fran. I can appreciate how she wasn't a damsel in distress. She was pregnant and quickly laid down the law. I was like, yo, this is what it's going to be like. You guys are going to keep me out of these plans. And I can respect it, you know, in the type of situation like that, you know, she had a lot more, not more balls than the other guys. But then the first guy who died, she had more balls than him, I'd say. More smarts as well than most of the men. So I respect it.
Roger was straight stupid. I'm like, you dumbass.
He's like really smart at first, and all of a sudden he's just
Right.
like, yeehaw!
I decided we're gonna get this mall.
We got this. We got this by the ass. Fran is amazing in this film, and this came out a year before Alien, right? And it wasn't necessarily George Romero's intention to have a very strong female character in this movie, right? But there was a scene where the zombie comes out and Steve like hits it with the head and falls and all that kind of shit. She was supposed to, in the script, scream and be like, ah, and she tells George Romero, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to scream. I'm not going to be that girl. I'm going to stand here. I'll be in shock, but I'm not going to scream. And he goes, okay. And she actually, out of all the characters, has a progression, right? Through the movie. So she's amazing. Her first professional acting job, too, was this film.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Joe? What's a performance you want to highlight?
I'm going to go with the scientist on TV that they cut to a few times.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He is
the dude from the
fucking
Crazies,
great.
right?
Yeah.
He's in the Crazies, yeah.
He's just like, why don't we just nuke them all? And just all this stuff. People yelling at him, and he's like, "Oh, fuck you! I'm telling him like it." Like just all those bits of you know, when we get those glimpses of like what's like going on in like the rest of the world, and like he is clearly this like avatar of what a lot of people would be, you know, thinking and saying, you know, we know exactly the kind of people, you know, we're talking about, you know the type, but like he's just personifies all of them in this like one guy, and it's just fantastic.
You know, I feel like the same energy that guy brings to this performance is the same energy sometimes when you're on a stream talking about the state of comic books and you just start off and you're like,
oh, it's rough. I mean, what was it? The oldest like shop in LA or whatever is closing down now, like Jeffrey's Comics or whatever.
Damn, Joe, we're talking about Dawn of the Dead and you still find a way to bring it down.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, I'm not more uplifting in discussing Dawn of the Dead.
All right, the performance I want to highlight is actually two, and it's kind of like Joe's. It's the TV personalities in the very beginning of the film. The two dudes that are having that conversation while the entire studio is just breaking down. People are walking off the set. People are flipping the bird. People are tearing up scripts. People are walking off. Who's on camera 3? No one's on camera 3. What's going on? And what a great chaotic beginning to that film. And the Argento cut even ramps that up further. But those two dudes, most of that was them working that out together on their own, kind of improvising and just feeding off of that energy. It worked so well. And there's my man, Brad Frazier, who I met at Scarefest this weekend. Nice. My dude, you took a picture of us. You need to send that to me on my socials or tag me in something. I want that picture, my man. Hope you had a great Scarefest, dude. I had an epic one. And there's Dimitri from Black Box Comics.
Nice. Hey.
Everybody go check out Black Box Comics. Dimitri, I got your message. Next week, I'll give you a call next week. We'll talk about it.
Everyone should check out Eric Pulicki's Ninja, was it Kaidan? That's a good one.
I feel like you struggled for a second to think of the name of that. You're like, fuck, Eric.
Well,
what
I'm like,
was
is it
called?
Caden?
Is it Ninja
Kaiden?
Gaiden?
One of those. It's not. It's Caden or Kaiden, but it's one of those. But yes, and
Yes.
Lucas Meyer, who like does a lot of stuff at DC now, did the art for it.
It's a great book, and as well as Dream Master by our friend
Yes.
Jonathan Hedrick. So, you know,
Yes.
I'm just saying, there's two black box comics y'all definitely need to check out 100%. All right.
That's right.
It's time to talk about the style and structure. This is where we get into the Argento cut. I fucking love it. Now, it does leave some things out that I miss from the Romero cut, right? It leaves out some of those comedic bits. It leaves no zombie gets hit in the face with a pie in this one, if I remember correctly, right? Am I misremembering?
They
do the pie thing.
Oh, they do the pie
Yeah,
thing?
They
Okay.
do the pie thing.
Oh, fuck. Hold on. Let me restart. All right. Most of the comedy is taken out of this Argento cut, but it's a sleeker. I feel like it gets to the punch and it goes through it, but it's a tighter pace. We do lose. All right. Correct me if I'm wrong. The helicopter zombie kill. That's not in the Argento cut.
Yeah.
Because they actually shrink that entire section down. Because honestly, in the Romero cut, the movie gets a little slow there because it gets slow in the mall as well. This one ramps up the pace. It never feels slow. Knowing the Romero cut, though, the Argento cut, there are things that I miss. The scene, correct me if I'm wrong, the scene with the nun, when Fran cannot kill the nun zombie and lets her go. That's not in the Romero cut, right?
Right. It's not
Romero does not like the Catholic Church. All right, so, but it's actually, it veers more into horror for me. Fable, you mentioned the action movie aesthetic. That is prevalent in the Romero, but because it gets so oddly structured, it doesn't feel like it all the way through. It does in the Argento cut. This is fast. It's quick, right? Yeah. And it's more atmospheric, and we'll get to the music soon, but the music has a big deal too with why it's so different and the use of that music. And it really drives Argento and Goblin. They work together on the music before they even usually film the movies. So at this point, I can imagine in this production, Romero's making the film. He's sending the script. Argento's kind of coming up with this kind of pace, this vibe. He cuts his movies to that pace. It's something Romero didn't do, but Argento did. And it really shows in this one. It's a very tight, like, da-da-dun, da-dun. When you hear that music, da-da-dun, da-dun, 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 da-dun. That's how it's paced. It's chaotic. It's frantic. And at times, it has those moments to slow down. The Argento cut, correct me if I'm wrong, does have the more elongated pullback shot of Fran and Roger after she turns down his proposal and they still have sex, but there's a much more elongated cut of almost like a still shot when they pull out, and it just shows the sadness, which should be a happy moment. You just busted a nut, y'all. Y'all both should be happy, but not in every situation or circumstance. There is a tonal quality, like Joe was saying about this film, that is more appropriate today. Dude, you watch Night of the Living Dead, you watch Dawn of the Dead, that's okay. Did you watch Day of the Dead? That was tonal whiplash from one to another. That's why people didn't like Day, I think, so much when it came out initially. It was a different film. Maybe they were expecting more of a romp. And George A. Romero says, I wanted this film to be a romp. That's cool. But Argento knew what Night of the Living Dead was. Argento wanted to replicate that. Romero wanted to go in a different direction. But in the same vein, Argento wanted to keep it more true to that. And that's why I love this cut. I love both of them. Like, honestly, I love the 2.5 hour version, the canned version that has every bit of deleted scene put together into it. There's a lot of stuff in there, including Joe Pilato as like a corrupt police officer that they meet when they get to the helicopter. You don't get the scene in the Argento cut either, the dude asking for cigarettes, and everybody's like, no, we're all out. Then they light one up.
Right.
I've been there, man. No,
like
you can't
it.
have a cigarette, bro. This is the apocalypse, bro. I'm worried about water, food, and cigarettes. Okay, so there you go. What about you, Jelani? What do you think about the style and structure of the Argento cut?
You're right in all those forms. It's well paced. Like, this is a much cleaner cut of this film. It's just like it's so streamlined. It gets to the point a lot quicker. Like, there are no lulls, no real, just why is this here? Why, we should have moved this a little differently. but I love it. I mean, of course, you mentioned about the music. The music helps this along. I know we're getting there, but like it's the main reason I like this cut is because of the Goblin soundtrack. But it aids with how it is shot. Somehow, I don't know what it is, but like it was just they filmed one movie and then they just cut in bits of what it is. And I don't know how they're the same movie, but they are vastly different on how their tone shifts. Like Romero, I know for a fact, I'm pretty sure, like you said before, he wanted to do other things. So he was trying to make a comedy, like a just a rip roaring, side splitting.
I think he wanted to make like
with
an action satire in a way, right?
Yeah. But this one was the one about consumerism. So it's basically that, but it's good. I still think I love that one more than this one in parts. There are little differences that I like to see. I like to see a guy's head get cut off by a helicopter. That's one of my jams.
It's one of the best scenes in the movie, though.
It's the
Even
best scene in the movie.
The dude is obviously like Frankenstein head, and you know what I'm saying?
Wow! Yes, more of that. You know, you want to see that splatter from a zombie movie. If you're gonna up the ante from Night of the Living Dead, this is how you do it. And Romero is a master of horror, as you said, but Argento is also as clean. Like, they're two different movies. They're
and it's amazing because we talked about this last year or this year, actually. I think maybe on Dylan's horror show, we talked about Two Evil Eyes, two Edgar Allan Poe stories, one adapted by Argento, one by Romero, two vastly different visions, but it works together. And there's something magical about that Argento Romero combination that I wish we would have gotten more of. And one of the things I think that Argento does best in this cut is the first act. All that stuff in that like housing project, that apartment complex or whatever, like
it's a lot cleaner.
It is it's cleaner. It's like tighter, but it's also like more like sad and like horrific.
It's depressing.
Like it's really like you really feel Peter's like
he's trying to kill these people.
He can't do it, right? Like, dude.
Yeah.
Like, oh
he's
my
trying
goodness.
to load the gun again, and he's shaking. And Roger, oh man, it's sad.
They nailed that. The music's a lot to do with it. So before we get off topic, Brooks is the king of keeping us on topic and away from tangents. What about you, Brooks? What do you think about the style and structure of the Argento cut?
I like the structure. Like, it does feel different because, you know, I do like the comedic aspects of the original version. Like, I think it is like, I thought that was one of the things I did like it. But like, I can see what Joe is saying, you know, how this fits in better with the overall, like, you know, tone of the entire, like, kind of Dead saga. And so, you know, it is much more dark, you know, not completely humorless, but it's much more toned down. And it feels like, you know, it goes by a little more briskly than the original version. But like, you know, it'd be hard for me to say, like, I couldn't definitively say, like, you know, one or the other is better, you know, unless I like maybe watched them back to back, and even then I might still be like conflicted. So I don't know, man. But I mean, it is good. It's Dawn of the Dead.
Hell yeah, it is. It's Dawn of the Dead. Speaking of Dawn of the Dead, it's the Fable of the Dead. Fable. What do you think about the style and structure of the Argento cut?
Yeah, I gotta agree. I think I prefer this cut. I really do. I think it's faster. It's to the point. Like I said earlier, you know, you get everything across in this movie. It's bleak. Like you said, the cutting some of the comedy out makes it more bleak. But it also it also makes it more serious, especially when this biker gang is about to invade this place. But the two standout things to me in style and structure is basically the writing. You know, not all of the acting comes across on the writing, but the writing is still brilliant. There's some lines in there. I actually wrote down 2 lines. One of them was when the priest in the beginning, he goes, "Señores, when the dead walk the earth, the killing gotta stop or we'll lose the war." I was like, whoa. That's a great line.
Yeah, it is.
He didn't deliver it so well, but
I
it's a
actually
great
love
line.
I love the way he delivered it because it felt so authentic to me. Like I don't know, but there's something
I
about
felt
that
he
that
was
chills
okay,
me.
but the writing is great. And another line, when what's his name?
Well, how
Peter?
many one-legged priests do you know, Fable? Okay, you don't know what it's like.
Hey man, I grew up in that project building he was at. Nah, I'm just playing.
I was there, motherfucker.
I was there. But yeah, the other line when Peter was like, when he has the gun with the scope on it, and he says, the only person who could miss with this gun is the sucker who had the bread to buy it.
Yep.
I thought that was a pointed line there. So yeah, style and structure, and the concept of this movie is the style or structure to it. Like as a kid, I love the original because it's the thought of being in a mall and having everything you want and being able to run in it and take everything, and it's still there. It still comes through. The concept is what drives this movie for me so much.
And
so,
it's such a part of the theme too.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like which we'll be getting to, man. 100%.
Yeah.
Steph, my man, what do you think about the style and structure of the Argento Cut?
I love it. It kicks off and it doesn't ever really let up. We've just been talking about the pace. That's just praising the pace, and it was great. I can't say too much other than what you gentlemen already said. It was well paced. I do want to watch the original now that we've been talking about, or the Romero cut, to compare and contrast. But I remember the Romero cut seeming a little bit slower. Once again, I haven't seen it in a while, so that doesn't really mean much. But yeah,
no, you're right though. It is slower.
Yeah, but yeah, great. I enjoyed it.
Hell yeah, Joe. What do you think, man? You're a writer. You're an editor, right? And this is a movie. The Argento Cut's about editing. So, what do you think about this cut?
I really like this cut a lot. I know like it's common to bring up like they cut a lot of the humor out, but I think it's more or less the perfect amount of humor in it, because there is still quite a bit of humor. It's just all very low key dialogue, people kind of like sniping back and forth at each other a little bit, or like making offhanded comments at each other. And for me, that works really well.
I don't know, Joe. What do you think? Hit and run?
It works. It works so well. I think it was a perfect amount of humor. I thought there was. I know compared to like if you're watching this in a vacuum and you're not comparing it to the Romero cut, I wouldn't want any more humor in this. I'm like, there's plenty to go around for the situation they're in.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, like the atmosphere, everything about it, it really feels quick. It feels dire. It feels like, well, how are they going to get out of this one? What are they doing? Like you really feel, like the core characters, let's say like the four like core characters, you really feel that you get to both see them all like siloed off on their own at some point, while also getting to know them in a group dynamic. And that's really hard to pull off in a movie. And I think both cuts do it, but like to do it with less time in this cut, to do it in under 2 hours, and to really feel like these characters, it's I thought just really well done. It's part of why Dawn of the Dead is considered one of, if not the best zombie movie. So
yeah, absolutely, man. And to answer chill out questions, 100%. And I only date awesome people if I can help it. Maybe there was like 12 years where I didn't, but for the rest of my life I have. Nowadays I sure do. So all right.
Can I add some with that thought? You guys mentioned the pie in the face thing, right? and I think the pie in the face thing takes on two different meanings in this cuts to talk about the comedy. Like in the first cut, in the Romero cut, it's funny and whatever, but in this cut, it feels like they're playing with fire when they're doing it. You know, the way it's cut, that whole invasion. When they start doing it, yeah, it feels like they're like, oh yeah, they're gonna get it. They keep throwing these pies in the face. Oh boy.
Well, it helps when the music's something like or dun and not like something like dun 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 dun. Speaking of that, the music. That's the main difference, is the music. The Romero cut used some of the Goblin soundtrack, but it used other bits as well. You know, just things that are just very stereotypical sounding to me that really pull away from the tone of the movie. I love Goblin. And when I watched the Romero cut, the theatrical cut, the cut of the movie, the director's cut, let's call it, you know, right? That's the director's cut, is the Romero cut. But the music, the way it's utilized, it's just like, it feels so generic to me, right? And then you have those moments where this Goblin music starts playing, and I'm like, fuck, dude, I want more of that. So when I first watched this movie, it blew me away. One scene in particular, the moment where there's that boarded off room in the apartment complex, and they like try to break through, and then the zombie hands come out and all that shit. In the Romero cut, it's an okay scene. In the Argento cut, it's fucking chilling, because you hear this like, you hear these like moans, and like there's so many of these like Goblin, all of the Goblin songs that they wrote are in the movie in the Romero cut, but they did so many other takes of it that are utilized so much better by Argento in his cut. The music is the fucking best. The only bit that I miss music-wise from the Romero cut is when the rednecks are doing their thing. I love that whole, I'm a man, I'm the center of attention, or whatever, right? Like, I love that fucking song. I wish I could just give me the Argento cut, but put that song back in, because that Goblin made that hillbilly sounding song, and that it sounds like Italians who are trying to make a hillbilly sounding song and don't know what the fuck they're doing. So I think the other song works better. But aside from that, dude, the music works so fucking much better for me in this movie. It provides this atmosphere, this creep factor. It gives me chills. Dawn of the Dead does not scare me in either cut. Very few movies scare me. That's what it means being a horror fan, right? So if you're a horror fan, we are chasing that high, but it's more of a shock high, I think, that I'm chasing at this point. I want to see the most gnarly shit, right? There's gnarly shit in this movie. Style and structure, by the way, Tom Savini's special effects. The zombie color, the blood. I love the blood in the movie. I love the cartoony effect. Argento utilizes it better. I love these special effects in this movie, but this is Tom Savini. Like, he's not at the level he's going to be at with Friday the 13th or The Burning. We're definitely not Day of the Dead. Day of the Dead is his masterpiece.
Day of the Dead is it.
Day of the Dead is his masterpiece.
Yeah. And
I just made the first Horrorfest 2024 announcement on the Exorcist Believer review with Verno last week. I announced that we're ending Horrorfest 2024 with an Exorcist franchise review. We'll also say that next year we're doing Day of the Dead on its own, because that movie deserves the spotlight in and of itself. I love the music in this movie. The Goblin soundtrack is utilized so perfectly, and it really captures not just the horror and the creep factor, but that 70s action vibe that this movie has. It does that too with that great bass line. Oh my goodness, it's absolutely anyway. Jelani, the music, what do you think?
This music slap fire. Forget that. I've loved Goblin since Suspiria. So I saw Suspiria and that music and Professor Rosso. Dario Argento knows that he needed like a prog rock band.
By the way, their very next project after Suspiria was this. So
that's awesome. I love that they incorporated this music. It's just it makes the Romero cut. Like it's slap fire in the Romero cut. I mean, it is cut in between, but man, the beginning, everything you said, do 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 when they get in the trucks, do 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 do. Man, it's like all the progressions. I love this music. It's just so. It's always in your mind anyway. Like I know from the Romero cut because I've watched it tons of times. So I already know this music. So knowing this music and then the fact that it's utilized in such a way with a tightly paced film, man, it is awesome. It's almost a superior cut, but like I said, I've watched Dawn way too many times. I may need to watch it again.
Dude, it makes me want to play the bass when I'm like doo doo. And then, dude, the opening, like, I'm sure maybe it had to have been used before this film, but the heartbeat, right? The heartbeat kind of thing that you get in a lot of horror films. John Harrison did it in Day of the Dead, but at the beginning of the film, bam, boom, 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 boom. Like, it's so driving. Oh my goodness. What do you think, Brooks, about the music in the film?
Well, I mean, it's good. It's Goblin, you know. I could sit here and jerk off Goblin for like a half hour or whatever. But I mean, I don't really have to, you know.
They're old men now. It might take more than a half an hour, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, who knows? But yeah, it's great.
They are Italian, so never mind. Sorry,
yeah,
terrible jokes, Robbie. Terrible jokes.
I love the you know the prog rock sounding soundtrack. Like, you know, it works really well with this movie, especially with the darker tone. Like, it's Goblin, you know. What else is there to say?
Exactly. What else is there to say? Well, Fable's got something else to say. Why don't you tell us what you think about the music and carry on the show for just a moment, please? Bruh, I leave the show in your hands and you're muted, bruh. What's going on, Fable? Come on, man.
My bad.
Oh, Mike.
I'm not the biggest super fan of Goblin, you know, not like these guys, but the music does make a huge difference in this. It really does, and I never even expected it, if that makes sense. Because sometimes they would play certain musical pieces, and I'm used to, like you said, the Romero cut, which is a little more bleak. I think the soundtrack's a little more, you know, it's not as upbeat as this. I mean, they play Afro drum in this at some point. It's like doom 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 doom, you know what I mean? But like you said, it works. Oddly enough, all this different kind of musical choices, they work for this movie because they do help the pace for some reason. It's inexplicable. I can't explain it. But the music makes that difference. I totally agree with you guys and Robbie. And like I said, I'm not a Goblin super fan, so that's high praise, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
if I'm saying it. I mean, you know, I think they got some competition with Tangerine Dream, but that's just me. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. But yeah, Steph, man, the music. What do you think, brother?
Gotta say, everything you guys have said about it, all the positive stuff, but there's one thing you guys missed that this music adds: a little bit of flavor. All right,
Put some flavor in your ear.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, the music it gives it a certain style and it makes it distinct more so than other horror movies I've seen. It makes it stand out for me. And I am not too. I've heard of Goblin, but I'm not too familiar on what he's worked on or what his significant works are. But if this is any indication of what he's capable of, I look forward to hearing more. I was very impressed. Very impressed.
Hell yeah. Goblin's absolutely fantastic. What about you, Joe? What do you think about the music?
Oh yeah, it's great. It's hard to add more to it to be the like fifth or sixth guy here to be like Goblin's really good. But but
We're the fifth or sixth time on the channel, right?
Yeah.
Like, so
We do
yeah,
say
no,
that.
for sure. But I will say they do a very good job throughout the movie of really capturing the chaos through the music, like the opening with the news room and all of that, like everything going on. It really adds to and ramps everything up. So yeah, I think it's they're very good at what they do.
yes, they are, and they have been their
Yeah.
entire careers. All right, so theme. Well, Dawn of the Dead has some very obvious themes that are laying right there on the surface. It's also got some stuff that you can dig a little bit deeper to find. What's this movie speaking to you, Jelani?
Oh, I've always picked the easiest one, and that's consumerism. It's draining our lives as we speak. Capitalism, the fact that the first place we try to get to at least is a mall. If there's something bad that happens, even the zombies are hardwired to go to the mall. They're drawn to it because it's a semblance of their former life, and they want to just walk around a little bit, go to the food court, hang out, eat some friends. That's that's how it usually works. And it's funny how Romero was doing this, but Argento does it in such a darker way for me that it's kind of scary that of course they're drawn to it, and there are thousands of them by the months that they've been living there. So people are still drawn. As many people are turning, there are many more people that are coming to the mall. They're just like, we got to get in, and then they finally get in, and they do whatever they do, which kind of makes me mad because, like I said, the ending of the Romero cut I think is superior. I don't mind the helicopter flying away at the end. That's okay. We can keep going. But I like the end of Romero's cut because it's this mall music playing, and these people they're zombified and they're still walking in this mall. It's the weirdest scene, and it's absurd. It's just the absurdity of the Romero cut ending the movie like this. And I know he was trying to go, I don't know. He's making a satire. And that was the main theme that I got from this, because it's what we're drawn to this day. And it's just the wildest freaking concept that we love stuff. We love stuff so much because the first thing that they do, they fly in the helicopter and they try to do it. I think we can take this place. I think we can hang out here for a while. They're like they're doing their wildest dreams. Even Roger, after he got bitten, he's still getting the chance to eat his olives and enjoy the finer things in life. And they got they got like caviar and crackers. Man, this mall was the shit. We get nothing like this in the malls we got. I was like, what the crap? They got gun shop. They got J.C. Penney's with all the J.C. Penney's is a Walmart, basically what they have. And I'm like, they have everything they need. And even when you have everything you need, it's still sadness. Like the bedroom scene at the end, where they're in the middle of the movie, where it's just that sadness sinks in. You have everything you want, but you're still not happy. Yeah. And that's what I got from this movie too. Everything, your heart's desire, is at your fingertips. Money don't buy love. Money doesn't buy respect. Money doesn't buy a lot of different things. There's so many things you can draw from this movie.
Money don't buy you shit in a zombie apocalypse, bro.
Not at all. It's useless. Yeah. I love how they were still like, you never know.
I know. Love it when
Robert like, hey,
I love when they do the cheese shot to the camera.
Yeah.
There's
the 70s,
the security camera.
70s, 70s like picture.
Hell yeah.
But it's you could draw so much stuff from this movie. It's one of my favorite movies. Like, it's in my top 10 of my favorite movies of all time. And the Argento cut is kind of right beside Romero right now. They're neck and neck for how awesome they are. Because it's the same movie, but in just slightly different ways. But yeah, that's what I got from this.
All right, Brooks, what about you, man? What are you picking up from this film?
Like there's a theme that I've always noticed in this film, and it's kind of bookended in the film because it's like displayed in a scene in the beginning and in the end is like the inherent danger in man's possessive nature. Like in the beginning, you have the racist SWAT officer guy who's like all like he's talking about how all these people in here their apartments are better than mine, and then he goes into this
I
like
love when he
rampage.
died, man. That was so good.
Like,
It was so cathartic for me.
It's like his need to have something that he believes that he deserved, like made him act in a way that led to his downfall. And like in the end, it's Flyboy, like when the gang is coming through, all they had to do was just like stay out of sight, be quiet, and they would have come through. But now he gets like, oh, this is ours. He has that need like to protect his possessions, his property, his territory, even though, like it's only his because, he's there. Like he didn't earn it. Like he didn't do anything, like he didn't really have any claim to this stuff except for, just the fact that he is there. And, that's the downfall. His downfall as well is like his need to, to unnecessarily throw himself in danger for his possessions, like, his stuff.
Absolutely,
that's a big part of this movie, like overall, is like, this idea of like, what does it mean to possess things? Like, especially when like there's nobody around to enforce who owns what.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck yeah, Brooks. It's almost like the Wild West.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit, right? It's a little bit like that.
Society's broken down.
Yeah. What about you, Fable? What are you picking up from this movie? What's it speaking to you? And what's up, Bullseye Bob? We see you out there. We love you. Hope you're doing well.
Bob. Yeah, I mean, you guys, I think, hit the nail on the head. The consumerism, the possessive stuff. That was a really good point because that scene was very poignant to me too. When he was like, "It's ours. We got it. We took it," and he just says that over and over again. So yeah, that's really good. I would just add on what the preset in the beginning of the movie, which I think is also bookended. When he says, "We better stop the killing, or we're gonna or we're not gonna win the war," and that's quite evident by the end of the movie. Everybody's dead because they couldn't stop killing each other. It's like people would just doesn't matter, Even the guy on the TV says it like, "Oh, we feed them." He's like, "Feed them? What are you talking? What are you crazy? This is what you guys think of?" It's like, what are you gonna do? What else is gonna do? We're their food. You know what I mean? It's over. So yeah, I think the old man kind of says a little bit of the theme in the beginning of the movie.
100%. Well, I mean, I'm so proud of everybody here tonight, man. I was so worried about the Argento Cut. Man, this is the best horror fest we've ever done. 100%, man. I guarantee it. Regardless of what happens next week with Saw, we are good tonight, man. I'll tell you that. Blake, what do you think this movie's speaking to you, man?
I'm just gonna chime on to the consumerism bit Jelani was speaking on, in particular that of course the well-known scene of when the zombies are showing up at the mall and they're asking like, why are they coming here? They're just aimlessly showing up. I think that kind of it's even more prevalent now in terms of how like society is just up to buy. Anytime a new phone comes out or a new system or a new piece of clothing, people just want it. They don't really need it. They just want it. If half the time if you ask someone why they want something, they probably don't have a valid reason. It's just because it's new. They just want it. And I think that it's because of, we've seen subconsciously ads thrown in our face on the internet and stuff all the time at a fast pace nowadays because of the internet. And, we're zombies in that sense. We're just set up to buy things. And I think that George Romero and Argentina were kind of speaking on that. And they were kind of ahead of the time. It's even more prevalent now. It rings more true now than it did back then. So definitely think it was speaking on consumerism.
It's crazy because in 1978, malls were not what they were in the 90s or the 80s, right? Romero's a bit prophetic in this film, right? And he was prophetic, I think, in this film, in Day of the Dead, in Night of the Living Dead, and even in Land of the Dead, Joe. Even in Land of the Dead, he's a little bit thinking forward, okay?
Yeah, no.
Survival of the Dead, I think he just wanted to make a Looney Tunes cartoon. I don't know what the fuck is going on there.
Do you guys remember the scene in this movie where they come out of the store, all three of them, and they're over the balcony and they're all dressed in these clothes that they just took off the rack?
Yep.
I mean, that is the most pointed scene of what you guys are saying.
They're
Because
wearing like fur
they look
coats and shit,
ridiculous.
bruh.
Yeah, they look
everything-
ridiculous.
they're
All three of
absolutely
them, they're dressed to the
ridiculous.
nines.
They got everything they want.
And they look ridiculous.
Yeah, they do. What about you, Joe? What are you picking up from this film, man?
I mean, obviously the consumerism stuff and the stuff people mentioned. I'll elaborate and say, I feel like one of the messages that this movie is trying to get across is live your life so that way if you get turned into a zombie, you don't just walk to the fucking mall. Like, you know, it's
Zombie
like,
Joe Corral is hanging out at the park.
absolutely, really. Like, but you know, it's like you should.
We're all going to be at comic shops and shit. I'm going to be at the door of Scarefest.
I'll be at the
Just
gate.
But yeah,
Marvel
you know,
still
so-
sucks.
a real Marvel zombie joke is in there somewhere.
But I'll buy it anyway.
Yeah.
I guess I'll buy all the covers too.
I'll tell you what, bro. I'll tell you what. Just real quick. I'm sorry, Joe, to interrupt.
You're good.
I ordered very heavy on Predator versus Wolverine. I thought I was making a vast mistake within an $8 cover price. Everybody who came up that first Wednesday complained about the price while they were buying all the covers. I sold the fuck out. I got a want list now. Like, what the fuck? Man?
That's incredible.
It's the wrong message to send to Marvel.
No, it is. It is. It's incredible for you. Like,
Yeah, I was like, oh, thank God.
He's stuck with those lemons.
yeah, but no, it's just to wrap the point up. It's basically just like reflect on your life a little bit. Like think about what you spend your time doing, and you know how precious life is, and that sort of stuff. Which clearly the film's getting at with these zombies are coming to the wall, and these people have very little time left, and you know, so just like don't live too passively.
Damn, Joe, you got me thinking, man. That zombie Robbie would just keep coming to this fucking desk, like Bub, putting on the headphones.
Pick of the week.
Station. Pop, pop, boom.
Anytime Jeff and Dustin collaborate on a comic together.
Spider-Man bad.
Ice Cream Man, good. For me, it's pretty much what everybody said here. I mean, I can just elaborate on everybody's bit. Everybody nailed it tonight. The one thing I will say is this, that I will add. Isn't it a dream to go to the mall and have anything you want? Right?
Mm-hmm.
What happens? They get bored.
Mm-hmm.
They get complacent. And y'all are right. It's about possession. It's about consumerism. It's about what do you do with your life? You know, like what are your routines? What are your habits? Where do you spend your life? Like think about it. Like break it down. I did this. A very dear person in my life did this for me months ago. Hey, this is your life in a month. Broke it down by color. How much time I spent doing this, doing this, doing this, doing this, spending time with people I care about. Very little. I try to change that shit. My life has gotten way better. Pay attention where you're going. But here's the thing. All the stuff in the world. Yeah, I got a Bela Lugosi action figure. Yeah, I got a Castle Grayskull. That ain't going to do me shit. You know what I'm saying? What really matters in your life? And when you have all this shit, guess what?
Happy.
When I'm down, regardless of the fact I got a Castle Grayskull. Now, I'll be honest, when I do feel down, I go look at my toys and I feel a little bit better. Honestly, I really do. But when they get everything they want and they will fight to the death to keep it, why? They're not happy. Fran's not happy there. Peter's not happy, especially after Raj dies. Flyboy's not happy the entire movie because the way he acts to Fran is the way a fragile fucking male acts to his fucking partner. sometimes, or a fragile partner. Doesn't matter if you're male or female or anything else. Like fragile people react that way, like Steven did, right? They're not happy people. They didn't reach enlightenment. They didn't find happiness or serenity being surrounded by everything. All of their material needs were taken care of. Doesn't give a shit. Even if the biker gang passed that mall by, that would have collapsed, because that doesn't make a life. The stuff we own, we are not what we own. We are more than that, right? And the other thing is this. Brooks really hit this one too. So did Fable. When the chips are down, when everybody's all in, I don't trust humanity at all. I do not trust us to get along at all. Like in my life, it's never proven. I've never been proven wrong on that. Like, but like, God damn it, we just need some love in this fucking world, man. Like, come together. Look out for your people. Reach out to your brother, your sister, anybody else. Reach out to the people in your life. Be a part of their lives. Let them be a part of your life. Don't be a zombie going off to the mall. Don't be somebody fighting and killing over your possessions. Don't be somebody endlessly just consuming for the sake of consumption. Don't be the person that's not going to make this world a better place. And that's what George A. Romero's been trying to tell us in his entire career. So there you go. All right. Out of 5, you digs.
Yeah.
What do you rate this movie? Jelani, kick us off. And you out there in the chat, let us know what you think. Food, water, and air, and cigarettes, Bobby. Cigarettes. Don't forget cigarettes, okay? I'm glad they had a liquor store in there, bro. That'd been the first place I'd have went. I mean, like, this shit sucks, bro. Let's get fucking twisted.
No,
we're gonna drink.
We're raiding the dispensary, man.
We're gonna drink all the we're gonna drink all the Jack Daniels, smoke all the weed, and eat all the spam we can, bro. That's what we're gonna do. Don't knock it. It's got its own key. Anyway, Jelani, out of 5, you digs. What do you give it?
It's Dawn of the Dead 5. It's 5. I mean, come on, man. Come on, it's Argento Cut too. And I love Dawn of the Dead anyway. Man, come on. That was easy. That's easy. I wish I owned this on Blu-ray. I really do. I need this in my life. Like, I need all of these things.
You can get it. You need a region-free player, though, because it's a UK release, but you need it.
Yeah. Need to get it done, because it hits so many nails on the head, and literally how do you kill a zombie. It's just it's so clean. The kills are great. The makeup is great on the main characters when they turn. It tells such a brilliant story, and from Romero's side or Argento's side, they're both. I mean, it's still the same story. It's just slightly different, and it tells it in such a way to where it's not spoon feeding it to you, like Joe would probably say. It's not treating you like you're an idiot. It shows you the movie that you want to see, and it's in the zombies, which Walking Dead desensitized me to all zombies now, which kind of sucks because that show was really good at first. It just turned into shit, but that's a different story. But the zombie genre for me was like the tops for a very, very long time. It was because like anyone can bite you and turn you into zombie, and that's pretty bad. That's a bad way to go. I would not want to be a rotting corpse walking to the mall. It just died. I don't think it'd be
already are.
I am. Damn, it's a shame. Willfully walking to the mall. You're right. But yeah, 5 all day, son. 5.
Hell yeah. What about you, Brooks? Out of 5, you digs, what do you give Dawn of the Dead, the Argento Cut?
Yeah, I give this one a 5 too. Like, you know, I do. Dawn of the Dead is one of my favorite. Like, it probably is my favorite zombie movie. Come to think of it, and you know, this movie it's Dawn of the Dead, and I like the changes Argento does. There's like, I don't think there's anything I saw in there that I thought like Like I think it was a good cut. You know, I think Argento like knew what he needed to keep in and what he didn't. You know, to get the kind of tone that he wanted, and you know, it works just as well as the original.
Hell yeah! What about you, Fable? What do you give it?
I'm gonna go 5 as well. I would have probably given Romero's cut a 4.5 because it does get a little slow for me. I've always known that. I've always remembered that about the second movie when I was a kid. I was like, oh, I guess a little slow, and once they get inside the mall. But I didn't feel that at all in this cut. And what wins out the most, what is this interesting story, like Jelani said, this tale of, you know what I mean? These people who escape to a mall in the zombie apocalypse, and this little thought experiment of what happens to these people when you trap them in like that. And you know what I mean? What could happen, the tale of that. I think it's a killer concept, and that's why Zack Snyder knocked it out of the park years later when he did his version. The concept is so good. It stands the test of time. 5, you digs.
I'm glad you brought up the Zack Snyder one, which I love. That was a remake that nobody knows who Zack Snyder is at that time. Nobody knows really who James Gunn is at the time. James Gunn was the writer of that, right?
Yeah.
I will tell you this. That movie very clearly goes, these are the bad people, these are the good people. This movie portrays very complex people and lets you just realize that they're human beings, right? So that's one thing that really elevates this over that one, which I love the Zack Snyder, James Gunn one as well. I really do. It's a more Hollywood one.
I'm just trying to say 3 different visionaries for the same concept, and the concept is still rules over the artistry because the concept is so freaking good.
Absolutely. 100%. And Edgar Wright, we can add a 4th person in there because Shaun of the Dead picks up on a lot of those kind of themes as well, right? So hell yeah. Hell yeah. Fuck, man. We're doing good so far. Steph, where are we at, man? Out of 5, you digs. What do you give this film?
I'm gonna give it a 4 just because chill up, man. No, I'm kidding. I'll give it a 5. Yeah, the style, the flavor. But yeah, I'm glad I saw this one. I didn't know what to expect, and I'm looking forward to more Italian. Well, I guess this is Italian horror. So I'm looking forward to more Italian horror now because of this film.
Hell yeah. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. Joe, out of 5 you digs, what do you give Dawn of the Dead?
I don't think I could not give it a 5. So that's where I'm going. It's 5. It's I feel like it's I feel like there's very little for me to add. There's not you know, what am I gonna do? Be like, also it's good for this other reason I came up with. It's like, no, we all know.
Fuck you, Joe. You calling me out, man? Shit. Okay.
I was all set. I was all set to cut a promo on Robbie. Like, are you kidding me? Dario Argento over Romero, and he got me. He freaking got me. I'm sitting there like, damn, I like this cut better. Jesus.
I will say this though, brother. When I gave you the reins of the show, your mic was muted and you failed in front of everybody here tonight. We would never do that here on Pop Culture Philosophers, or at least I wouldn't. Anyway. 5 you digs. Come on, y'all. 5 across the board. There's no, like, I love the Dawn of the Dead, the original cut, like the theatrical director's cut, Romero's cut. I love that one. I love this one better. Do I rate both of them 5? Fuck yeah, I do. Do I like both of them for different reasons? Absolutely. This is a perfect film. It's great because this is what it's like when friends get together and create art. And I'm not saying that they're Martin Scorsese, right? Like trying to revolutionize film away from Marvel Cinematic Universe or whatever right now, right? I'm not saying that. Like, these are people out having fun, throwing shit together and making a damned classic because of it. It's a 5 you digs. What was this movie trying to do? It's trying to be a fun movie about zombies. What was Argento trying to do? Make some money, make a fun movie about zombies with a little bit more of a dire, bleak atmosphere. And that's what the Argento Cut and Goblin does for this movie. So that's a PCP average of 5. So that means it was a perfect film. So there you go. All right. We're now in the last week of Horrorfest, y'all. It's been a long road, hasn't it? Look at all of those films that we've covered already. And we still got a lot to come. Thursday on Blood Splatter Chatter, they're talking about Barbarian, one of the greatest horror films of last year. Saturday, you can join me over at Dylan's Horror Show. We're talking about the underappreciated. Well, not so much anymore. But the underappreciated at the time, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. And then the grand finale, a special Sunday night show. We're talking about the original Universal Monsters Dracula. I didn't even know when we planned this that the James Tynion and Martin Simmons Dracula was coming out this week, which is badass. So check that one out too, y'all, right? But we're talking about Bela Lugosi and Todd Browning's Dracula on Sunday. And then Monday night, next week, we're talking about the entire Saw franchise. Steph, don't forget, you said you were going to be on that one. All right. So's Manny. I got to get in touch with Manny. I hope he's been watching the Saw movies. Me and Brooks and Jelani have. Yeah. We've put it through the ringer. We've watched 10 Saw movies. We're ready to talk about all 10 next Monday. And then on Tuesday, Halloween. It all ends on Blood Splatter Chatter to talk about Rob Zombie's Halloween. It's not my favorite movie, but I'll tell you this. Having seen Scout Taylor Compton in real life, I think I go up a half a dig on this film. 100%. So there you go. Jelani, thank you for being here. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, this movie was Zombie. You need to watch Lucio Fulci's Zombie 2 if you haven't. By far, Zombie versus Shark is quite the most epic thing you'll ever see. Plus, it's got titties. So that movie is great. I definitely suggest you watch that as well. Italian horror is great. Dario Argento shows a masterclass of cutting edge film. I'm super fan of him since Suspiria. Suspiria does it for me. It's just one of those movies. If you haven't seen that, watch that. Even watch the remake. Remake's pretty damn good too, I think.
I agree.
So it's one of those things where you have to like enjoy a master at his craft, and it's a great cut. Of course, Brooks and I, we do a channel called Go Figure Reviews. I talk about it every week. I'm just got my tag there. I do a lot of shit, but it's fun. I love to do it. I love doing it with my friend Brooks, and I think we're up almost a year now. November the 11th is the first video I uploaded.
Creeping up.
Yeah, it's pretty close. So we're working on a live stream. Fable, I want you on it. Link, I want you on it. Joe, you're okay. You're just gonna talk comics. Unless you have toys. Do you have any toys?
I mean, I have some toys. I don't know how. Like I'm not as in the toy scene. I know
I understand. I'm in the toy scene side, so it's cool, Joe. You're free. And Robbie's always busy, so you're always busy.
Open. Plus, all the toys I've been buying recently, I can't show on air.
Sounds fair. Fair enough. Fair enough. Good job. I'm gonna get.
Me and Fiona been shopping. So.
All right. Enjoy that. So this week Figgy Friday, which is the thing on Fridays, we dropped the Chun-Li video. It was Chun-Li the Final Challenge from Jada Toys. It's all right figure. Check that video out. She can't stand on her foot. That really sucks. I tried several times to get her to stand on her feet. Other Chun-Li's can do it. The Bruce Lee figures can do it. She can't do it. That kind of sucks. Doesn't knock down her figure points though.
I mean, let's all just raise your hand if you've never beat off thinking about Chun-Li, right?
Not really. I mean, she's
that's an inside personal bit. I'm sorry. Only Jelani and Brooks and Holshoe get that.
I understand. I would kind of. I understand it. I was giving you shit.
Now I want to know who did it.
I was really drunk one night, and I said that while we were playing Street Fighter. Robbie is like, "What are you talking about, Robbie?" I was like, "Oh, never mind. I'm sorry."
Okay, Robbie.
Wild. And the other video we did that just dropped today was the Master of the Universe Slushhead.
I mean, let's be honest, y'all. Who didn't beat off thinking about Slushhead one time?
all the time, bro. All the time.
He's a sexy dude.
He is pretty sexy. Yeah, he's in an obscure cartoon that should have been like jumping off the thing, but he's not a part of the Masters of the Universe for real. He's a part of the New Adventures of He-Man. But it's all good. And he's a win and he's a loss because the bubble thing should pop off of his head so he can put it on another thing. And they glued it on the top of his head. That's the only downside. But watch the video. You'll see what we're talking about. Thank you guys so much for watching our videos anyway. We really
chill out, man knows what I'm fucking talking about. Anyway, Brooks, any final thoughts?
Jeez.
What's up, Dylan? How you doing?
Stage.
I'm sorry. I like thick thighs and nice guys, man. It's just the way it goes, man. Whatever, man. Brooks, say something profound to like take us like back to normal, man. Like I feel embarrassed now. What, Brooks? Final thoughts. Come on.
Just this. We got this, man. We got this. By the ass.
Woo!
Nice.
Woo!
Faithful. Final thoughts. Got a show this week?
Yeah, man. We'll be back this Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern. We're gonna have Lost in Comics Chris back on. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. Come
my
join us.
other
Love your
boyfriend,
show, dude.
Chris.
Yeah.
All right, nice. Yeah.
You
nice.
know what he told me? He said, "Hey, do me a favor. If you're ever gonna have Robbie on, call me. I like to."
Fuck yeah. Tell him I love him too, man.
Yeah,
I miss him. I'll probably see him Thursday, man.
Oh, and almost forgot. My man Missing Link, right? Link. I got you for that one, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, absolutely. Missing Link's gonna be on there with me too.
Speaking of Missing Link, you're going to be on Blame Fable, but I bet you also got something else to talk about. Final thoughts. Thank you for being here, Steph. It's always a pleasure, man.
Thank you for having me. Yes, Wednesday at Dr. Doom's Fan Club at YouTube, Supreme Clientele. Brother Stu and I, our weekly show, be talking about Gen V this week. Been an interesting show. It's been fun.
Okay. I didn't know it was on
come and
already.
check us out.
Okay.
Comics and yeah. I think they had like 4 episodes in. I think
Okay.
4 or 5. But yeah,
I need to watch it.
Wednesdays 9 o'clock YouTube.
Hell yeah, man. And I need to watch Gen V. Everybody go buy Dynamite Comics 100%, right? And support them and everything that they do. And I need to check out that show. I did get caught up on Chucky season 3. I didn't like Chucky season 2, but I got caught up last night on Chucky season 3 because my new love interest, Fiona Dourif, is in it. And I fucking loved it. I'm going to give you the elevator pitch. Chucky in the White House. There you go. You need to watch Chucky season 3, even if you haven't watched anything else. Joe, my good friend, final thoughts. And first of all, it was great seeing you last night live with Perch again. And how does Joe Casey still look the same as he did 25 years ago? That makes no sense to me, man.
Right? Like, my God. But now I'm so glad that like Joe Casey also just likes like chatting with us and stuff. He texted me the other day. It was just like, "Hey, you around? Want to like chat?" And, like we were on the phone for like an hour. Like,
you know, I like Joe Casey so much. He was one of my favorite writers back in the day. And I watched him last night. And today I had to do my final orders for Dutch number 0.
Yep.
And I was like, you know what? Maybe if I order more, Joe Casey will notice me. I don't know, but I upped my order because I just love him so much. I love his writing. I'm very pumped for that. I had to get the Jim Rugg variant. I mean, that shit was too awesome. Anyway, Joe, what you got, man?
Well, my Sheena series that I'm editing is still coming out. Issue 3 is out next month, so people can enjoy that. Please enjoy it. Pick it up. Some really good covers. You know, as every issue, there's great covers. But yes, pick them all up. You don't want to miss any one of them. And then I have my first YA graphic novel out in March that you can pre-order now.
Nice.
You know, King Arthur and the Knights of Justice, based on that 90s cartoon. So it's you can get it,
Hey.
order it through Maverick's website, which is part of Bad Cave Studios. You can pre-order it on Amazon. But yeah, it's a full graphic novel. You're getting a whole story. So yeah.
Hell
Nice.
yeah.
Oh,
Everybody
yeah.
go check that out, man. That's
Thank
really,
you.
really cool, man.
Thank
The
you.
90s series I really wanted to see you tackle, though, is Toxic Crusaders or James Bond Jr. I would love to see a revitalization of James Bond Jr. by Joe
I would
Carroll.
love James Bond Jr. It was
Yeah,
so
see,
good.
we know that it would already work because he knows the theme song every time.
James Bond Jr.
It's true.
Fuck, I guess Nick Barucci might have that license. I don't know. Let's holler at Nick and see what he
Yeah,
can do.
right. Let's figure that out.
He's
Check
got
it
Garth
out.
Ennis on James Bond coming up. Surely just as exciting would be Joe Corallo and Robbie Bills on James Bond Jr. because I have some ideas too, Joe. Anyway, so that was a badass toy line. All right, my final thoughts are this. Watch our shows. Horrorfest is ending Thursday. Check out Verno's channel, Blood Splatter Chatter, Barbarian. Check out Dylan's channel, Dylan's Horror Show. I will be there for Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, special Sunday show at 7 p.m. Central Time. Dracula, starring Bela Lugosi, directed by Todd Browning. Fantastic. Next week here on Monday, the PCP Horrorfest exclusively finale is the Saw franchise. All 10 Saw films reviewed. But it officially ends on Verno's channel with Halloween by Rob Zombie. You can watch that one or you can just end it with Saw. That's what I'm doing. But y'all go support my buddy Verno because he does great work and check out his shorts because they're good.
Got really good
And
shorts.
I guess I get what's a quote? What's a quote to pull? What's a quote to pull from this movie? Everybody already used all the good ones except for this one. Fuck, I was gonna do the cigarette bit, but it's not even in this cut. Argento for life.